So now that we've had a look at the first 12 costly financial mistakes to avoid, we're going to look at the 13 healthy financial habits to develop. So the first one is pay yourself first. I've touched on it earlier, and it both applies in your personal life as well as in business. So whether or not you have a business, it doesn't matter. It really works both ways. So in business, of course, it's about paying ourselves a wage first before we touch on anything else. And in your personal life, as an employee even, it's also important that as you receive your income deposited in your account, that you take a portion, a percentage that you have prearranged and pre-committed to yourself, that you put that aside for your own benefit. Why? Because it builds your self-esteem. It tells you that you are important. It tells you that you are more important than any other bills that you might take care of later on. And it's a really important habit from that perspective. Habit number 2 is set up different accounts for different purposes. So as we touched on habit 1, well, here is where you're actually making it more practical. You include different accounts, and one of them is your me account. So for example, for me, I pay myself every week a certain amount of money. With that money, I can do anything that I personally like doing. So whether I want to have a massage, I'll have that. If I want to go and buy some clothes, I can do that. If I would like to have a drink outside, I can take it from that account. If I want to buy some new shoes, I can do that as well. It's me. I can do whatever I like with this money, and so can you. Habit number 3 is keeping on top of accounts. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people allow money to slip away, and they just, swipe the credit card without even thinking about it, without even checking, and so on and so forth. And of course, when you do that, you're not on top of it at all, and you don't have any clue how much you pay on utilities, how much you're spending on dining out, how much you're spending on holidays, and so on. You don't know until you measure. So it's important that you keep track. And I'm the first one to say that I don't like necessarily doing admin and spending a lot of time crunching numbers, but I have started liking the idea of doing it because it puts my hands on the steering wheel. It gives me a sense that I'm in control. And most importantly, whenever I get into a pickle, I start then seeing how I will get myself out of it. And therefore, I feel better most days. Yeah, and so can you. Number 4 then is communicate when payments bounce or will bounce. Here's the thing. Even if you, let's say, are out of, let's say, funds in the account, you can still pick up the phone or talk to the person who's owes some money to, and just talk to them, explain them, tell them when it's going to be more suitable for you, and just negotiate better terms that way. The thing is, most people, if you just tell them the facts and you are there with goodwill so that you want to do right by them, most people will want to do right with you too. And they will be more open and generous in terms of giving you some extensions and so on and so forth, provided you are working with them, you communicate with them. Number 5 then is leverage the power of the compound effect. And it works 2 ways. Here's what I mean by this. Of course, in what you've learned earlier with one of the mistakes in terms of using credit cards to pay for things that you haven't got money for yet. Well, that's obviously where the credit card fees of, let's say, 20+% of interest charged to your account is working against you. But the same also applies in the positive sense, right? As you are creating more assets, and those assets appreciate in value, whether they are real estate, stocks, shares, bonds, crypto, all sorts of ETFs and so on. You have all sorts of assets, maybe even cars if you're investing in rare collector's items or any other things like that. There is certain asset classes that will accrue value over time. And so if that is an asset that accumulates at 8% per year, 10% per year, 15% per year, 20% per year or more, you're well on your way as you hold on to it, because the value will automatically grow faster than you ever could think possible because of compound effect. Habit number 6 is organize better rates regularly. I have only recently really started seeing how important this is, as in better utility rates, better insurance rates, better bank rates, refinance, shop around for all sorts of things that are ongoing. even like to the point then with Netflix, if you are currently on the medium plan, do you really need the medium plan? Could you potentially save $4, $5, $6 a month just by going to the standard entry level? You know, that straight away saves some money that you can reallocate somewhere else. Whatever you save, you can either put aside or reinvest, or, you know, use some of it for some discretionary spending. The thing is, shop around, organize better rates, and do it regularly, which means I, for example, take once a year time aside for all of that sort of stuff to go through it and review. What can I get better potentially elsewhere and save more money, even though the value stays the same, if not gets better? Same also with health insurances. That sort of stuff is really helpful. Number 7, protect what you have. Don't lose money. This is going back to something I've learned from Warren Buffett. He says, as an investor, the rule number 1 is that you never want to lose money. And therefore, you have to really protect what you've got. And this is a picture of, you know, a beautiful home that I personally really love. But the idea is, whatever your home looks like. I remember a day when I had, let's say, a financial commitment that I had to honor. And you know, I decided many years ago to sell my house in Europe so that I could take care of this financial commitment. And if I now reflect so many years later on that particular situation, I could have done so much better by just renegotiating a new term rather than sell an asset that, if I held it on now, would have really given me a lot more money instead. So I went for short-term decisions rather than long-term thinking. And again, make sure that you always protect what you've got. The same with having wills in place, having like life insurance in place, and all sorts of other things, especially if you're a business owner, having like some cover in place in case you get unwell, or income protection, all sorts of things like that. They're important because they help you protect what you've got. And of course, you need to make sure you got the right product in place for that. Number 8 is always safe to invest while paying down your debts. I remember the first time when I started seeing like what my financial situations look like, and I just looked at the facts. My initial intent and my initial tendency was to first look at using everything that I had and pay down my debts so that I would clear them off, and then I would start saving. But that really is avoiding universal wealth building principles. And so rather than doing just that, making it, let's say, an or scenario, let's make it a and scenario. So you save so that you can invest, and you also pay down debt. So whatever money you've got, you split it, and obviously decide on how much that would be depending on the situation you're in. I'm not here to provide you financial advice. I'm just here sharing you some lessons that I've learned over time that might also benefit you. So here is again, save to invest while paying down your debts, even if it's only a tiny fraction that you're saving. Even though 95% is going to your debts because you're just that much in a financial hardship situation. You know, just the idea that you're putting something aside that allows you to build your wealth while you're doing what you got to do to sort things out is a great step forward. And that's what you want to keep doing. Habit number 9 is an interesting one. This is a personal opinion of mine, is where buying expensive depreciating assets, it's a good idea to do it secondhand. And the typical one is normal cars. I'm not talking about collector's items that are investments. I'm talking really about a jet ski, a boat, a car, things like this. They automatically, from the day you start using them, they lose value, and therefore they are depreciating. If you have that happening for you, and you know that most money that is lost is as soon as you start using it, well, it kind of doesn't make sense to buy it new. And so therefore, I personally like buying new, like relatively new, good second hands in terms of cars, because I automatically save a lot of money at the front end as soon as I bought it by just buying secondhand, even though they might be just a year old or a demonstrator model or anything like it. It's such a good idea because you save that money that you can put somewhere else. Next one, habit number 10 is review financial progress regularly and do it based on facts. You probably also have had a situation like this where when the finances don't look that good, we automatically want to look away from it. And that is not really how you face the facts or deal with the matters. So you just objectively state the facts for what they are, and you regularly review. And of course, then you compare. And I've got, let's say, an Excel spreadsheet that tracks how I'm progressing, quarter to quarter on certain areas. And that is based on my appreciating assets, my liabilities, some of my bad debt that I have accumulated over the years, also my investments and so on, how they are tracking. And anytime when they are going better than before, they're green. And then when they went down, it's red. And that way I have the facts in front of me and I can see whether I've done well in recent times or haven't done well in recent times. And so can you. So really do this. Do yourself a favor. Track your progress regularly. Set it in your diary, because what gets scheduled gets done. Habit number 11 then is develop character, so that you are well positioned to receive financial backup for investment purposes when you seek them. Case in point, let's just say that you are interested in properties and you want to do something together with other people and have investors help you with it. Well, guess what? If you have a track record of success where you have honored your financial agreements and you've done well by the banks, by the utilities and all sorts of things, and by other people, personal debtors and so on, you basically can prove that what you say is what you do. And apparently financial institutions will look more at that than anything else whenever they assess you, including investors. So if you're a business owner or you've got a business idea that you want to take to investors, this again is really relevant as well. So develop character. Your character is that you do what you say you will do, so that people know that you are trustworthy and that you are worthy of receiving financial backup when you need it. Habit number 12, this goes hand in hand with it, is maintain a positive credit rating. In Australia, there is a specific organization that you can subscribe to. I forgot now what they are called, but I basically have a subscription with them, and they check out how you are going in terms of your credit rating, how much you score out of 100, and you can get in the green zone, the yellow zone, or the red zone, depending on your score. And it looks at how you deal with your utilities, with banking, with your credit cards, and so on and so forth. All sorts of arrangements that you have basically agreed on and that is trackable. It all is reflected in your credit rating. The better that one is, of course, the easier it is for you to seek credit and get financial backing when you are looking for it. Habit number 13, remember that there's a way to get things done. Now, most of the time when you want to do something, there is a way to do it. So rather than thinking like, but this ain't going to work, or I can't afford it, or it is not the right time, if it really is important to you and you have been planning towards such a thing, but it's still short a little bit, you could ask yourself, how can I do it? How can I do it? If you ask yourself an empowering question like that, starting with how, and where you add, can I do it? It assumes that you can do it, and your brain will be looking, your reticular activating system will be looking for an answer to that question that you asked yourself. And then it basically triggers your creativity in your neocortex. I've seen that again at the time when my wife and I wanted to buy our then dream home. Of course, as it does, once you got it, then you look for the next one. But I remember exactly like at that time when I saw it, I just knew it in my heart. And even though it appeared to be above what we could afford, I just asked myself, how can I buy this house for us? And of course, as I asked myself the question for several days in a row, I started to get new ideas that I hadn't seen previously. And as I then pursued those ideas, guess what? I got the money together, we bought our house, and we're still living it today. And the same principles you can use as well. So ask yourself an empowering question. How can I do it? And then let me know how you go. All right, guys, I hope this served you. Let me know in the comments below this video what you've taken out of this. And again, this was just me sharing openly some of the learning lessons that I've had that might also benefit you. If, of course, you need, let's say, further education and financial advice on that, please go and see the people that are specialists in that field, like a financial planner, an accountant, and a legal advisor, that sort of stuff. All right. But anyway, let me know below the video how you like this, and look forward to seeing you again soon. My name is Brown. Thanks for joining.